it's that time again, episode 2 of Wizard's Kitchen, and happy Cinco de Mayo. When thinking of the best way to support your Hispanic community members during Cinco de Mayo is to find a local family-owned business, restaurant, and go get food there. But if you can't spring for it, go ahead and follow this recipe. It's really easy, really simple, and hopefully you enjoy it. So naturally, I love tacos, so that's what we're doing for this episode. I'm going to show you how to make some just basic grilled chicken tacos. We're going to make some guac, we're going to make a hot sauce, and we're going to get up some carne asada too. Mostly going to be focusing on kind of like the hot sauce techniques and stuff because that's more my wheelhouse. Right, so let's get to the kitchen.
Run to the kitchen!
For our hot sauce, we're going to go and actually flame broil all this stuff. We're going to take it out to the Traeger because I didn't have time to go get propane for the grill, but it's all going to be the same. Going to have a better smoky flavor anyway. So I've got yellow and green bell pepper. I'm going to use serranos. You could use jalapenos or something of milder, sticking sort of mild for my palate for this recipe. Got a sweet onion, some cilantro. Also going to opt out for the cilantro if you're one of those folks who, cilantro tastes like soap. I'm not one of those folks. We've got some tomatillos here and some pre-done garlic. Kind of the way to go if you want to spend a little extra money or be a little lazy. That's what I'm going to do today. Got a lime here. Half the lime is going to be used for my hot sauce. The other half is going to be for our guac. And then we're going to do some grilled pineapple. We're going to do some salt to taste. Also, some just a little bit of brown sugar to finish it off here. All right, so we've got our salsa ingredients prepped here. So we're going to take our pineapple. We've just sliced it into some grill-friendly pieces along with our onion. Tomatillos will just go in whole. Don't need to cut those. I cut the hearts out of those. We're just going to give everything just a quick rub with some vegetable oil. We're going to go fire up the grill and get these in a blender. And then we're going to have that chill out so that we can work on our meat. As you place the vegetables and pineapple on the grill, just make sure everything's got plenty of space between each other. Also identify sometimes that one side of your grill is going to be hotter than the other, so make note of that. Also, the tomatillos will cook pretty fast, so pay close attention and pull things off when they're ready. Right, so for our guacamole, we've got our sweet onion. We're only going to use about half of that actually for this batch. Also, we'll have our half a lime. The other half, of course, is going into our hot sauce. Got 3 avocados. I put 3 tomatoes here. I'm probably going to up that up to 4 just for the ratios. You kind of have to eyeball it with these just kind of what's going to be your taste for guacamole. Again, I'm using serrano. You could use a jalapeno. Also, you could use a Anaheim chili for milder, if you're wanting milder than a jalapeno, or even a poblano is possible, but poblanos to me, they don't seem to have any spice to me. Then also going to have some spices that I put in, so salt, pepper. I use a little bit of onion powder. Even though we're putting garlic in here, I do use garlic powder, and of course a little bit of paprika. Also as an option, you could put in, I like to use these sort of canned chilies, chiles. They got a nice smoky flavor. They're also going to bring a little bit of kind of a sneaky heat. If you want it just a little bit rounded spice to me, even though it's a little red, it's not going to discolor your guacamole. The lime juice kind of ensures that. But yeah, let's get this prepped and I'll show you how to put all this together. 3 things you need. It's a nice fork, a good spoon, and a paring knife. Could use a larger one if you like, but I'm just going to use this one.
Remove it.
I'll just use the 2, so it seems that it's a lot of avocado. So I'm going to basically take and just score it longwise and then T-wise. That way it just kind of comes up as squares. You're going to just do that to each half. Take your time on this part. Don't just scoop and put it in the bowl. Worked for Mexican restaurant, and one of the things they used to do is they used to do tableside guacamole. It was the stupidest thing, because no matter how busy you were, guess what you had to do? It was just like, you know, when servers have to sing happy birthday to people, we had to do tableside guacamole. As if the guacamole in the back of the house wasn't the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, this is a good time for a PSA when it comes to food servers. If you go to a restaurant on your birthday, take the free dessert.
And just walk away? Yeah.
Because it seems like some strange sort of Julius Caesar way of celebrating your day. And not only do you need to give me free product from your kitchen, but grab all of your servants, all of your staff, bring them to the front and have them sing me a song. Make that server earn his tip. Because if he doesn't do that, I'm certainly going to complain to the proprietor. Yeah, don't be that guy. All right. So we got our avocado in the bowl. I'm just going to go ahead and give our spices a little mix and just sprinkle it in there evenly. Then we'll just add a minced clove of garlic. You could use the stuff in a jar if you want to. Just know that fresh garlic is very garlicky. And then for coming to the limes, what I'll do is I'll just stab the center of this here.
Okay then!
Helps to kind of break it up a little bit. Makes it easier to juice, especially if you're getting a nice kind of firmer lime. It's an easier way to get that out. We used to do that when we used to do tableside guacamole. It's just to make sure that was ready. Otherwise, you're sitting here squeezing and wrenching. I made a premix of onion and cilantro. Typically, if you're gonna have straight type tacos, this is the salsa you put on it. So I just like to premix this ahead of time, and we're just gonna add what we think is enough. And then that's gonna be the same with the tomatoes. We're gonna give that a mix, see what it looks like. Don't choke on your spices. If your avocados are nice and ripe, mixing this with a fork is super easy. We're just kind of mashing at the bottom and giving it a good stir. I like mine a little bit lumpy, but you'll know if you get an unripe avocado, this is a nightmare. So I'm gonna add, see if I can pull like half of one out of there. That's why I like the chopped ones a bit better, because then it's easier just to portion these out. If I put a whole one in there, I think it's going to be too much for the roomies.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I always react this way to spicy food.
Then I'm going to add roughly, I don't know if I want to put a whole serrano in there. I think I'll just put half of one. And just kind of looking at it, I'm just going to eyeball it. Just see, does it look like the guacamole you'd want to eat? So me, I want just a little more tomato in there. That one's good to go. Any food that makes you do the happy dance.
Oh, Hank, let him dance. He's happy.
All right, so next we're moving on to our prepping of our meats. So we've got nice marinated chicken that we, not marinated, but brined chicken breast. And we can't just put them on the grill like this because they're too fat. So how do we fix this? Well, we gotta beat them up. Might use plastic wrap. I'm just gonna use a nice sturdy Ziploc bag. We're gonna throw it in, lay it as flat as possible, and then we're just gonna pound it down. Now, you can have a meat mallet, I don't have one, so I'm just gonna use a nice French bread roller. So what we'll do is just take one in here. I'm going to seal the bag. I just want the bag to act as a kind of safe guide, keep everything contained. Make sure that this is kind of side down. This is the top of the breast, and then under here, where you can see the break or the tenderloin, that's going to be we're going to start in the middle and work our way outside.
We need to tenderize this meat a little bit.
By doing this and flattening it out, gives it more surface area in which to cook. So it can cook a little bit evenly, it cooks a little bit faster. Get it nice and flat. Move it on here. Bruce, couldn't we just butterfly our chicken just like this one here? Why, yes, you could butterfly your chicken. My recommendation, though, is if you're going to brine your chicken, don't also butterfly them. The brining does make it so the chicken gets super tender on the grill. So it does fall apart a lot easier, and it can make a bigger mess, and there's not much to holding it together. So if you are going to butterfly it, I would just stick with, chicken you just bought from the store. Just salting them is just fine. Anyway. So typically, if I'm going to be making these chicken breasts outside of using a marinade, garlic salt, super cheap. Maybe garlic salt and some cayenne, kind of go from there. Give it a good liberal seasoning on both sides, pound it out flat. Make sure your chicken breast, though, is as dry as possible before it hits the grill. It just helps with that even cooking. So we're going to take our meats over to the grill and get everything going. Then once we have our carne asada maybe at a resting point, I'm going to go ahead and make my hot sauce. I've got a blender set aside for that, and our vegetables should be well rested at that point. With this sauce, it's ready to eat right away. If you wanted to maybe, because there's going to be a lot of hot sauce here, what I'm going to end up doing afterwards is actually cooking it, so pasteurizing everything, making sure it's up to temperature. I'm going to add about a quarter cup of vinegar to the whole thing. This will allow it to stay in the fridge for a while without having to go bad. Probably if you're going to still eat it raw, adding the vinegar might add, a little more than a couple weeks. But this, as long as it's refrigerated right afterwards, just as is, should be good, for a week, maybe two, under the proper temperature. So, but we got a big house here, so it's probably going to go pretty fast based on how I'm making it today. So let's move on to grilling.
Maybe we could Netflix and grill.
Once you get your meats on the grill, you will continue to flip at least the carne asada every 2 minutes until it reaches its internal temperature of 125 degrees. But your chicken, you will want to check for an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit for both those, 180 Celsius for the chicken. That's the most important. Alright, just had to check on our meat. Looks like it's going good. Probably could have cut the carne asada down a little smaller for the trigger so they can get a little more of the crispy edges, but we're just going to deal with that. So all of our ingredients have nice and cooled down. This is the biggest thing I have. So what I'm going to do to sort of compensate for this is I'm actually going to take and divide my recipe in half. I'm going to do this in 2 batches. Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and cook this down. So it is going to mix all together, but ideally, if you're making a batch this large, you'd need a bigger blender. Or just make a smaller batch. Usually about 6 tomatillos, half an onion, a quarter of a pineapple, 1 bell pepper, and then of course your spice to compensate. We're also going to add a couple of cloves of garlic to ours, but maybe 1 clove of garlic to yours, just to kind of size down. Half of that. I got some recycled jars here that I'm going to be using to collect said salsa. Remove the stem. Yes, that was seeds and all. And get a couple of these tomatillos. Get a half an onion in here. And there might be some extra burnt bits. I really just want to make sure that the stems don't make it in there. They're kind of tough to get through, but tomatillos especially will break down on the grill. I don't mind a little bit of burnt bits in this particular salsa, but that's going to be sort of personal preference here. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to break it down in half so that I think, I'll get a little more onion here. I'll have to blend this down a little bit, and then I'll be able to add my other things I want to add to this salsa here.
Hold, please.
Yeah, so I kind of broke it down. Got a little more room in there. Already smells pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my cilantro. I'm gonna just add a teeny bit, and this is something where you can do stems and all. Chiole. So I got. I'm gonna put one in there. It is hot sauce after all. A couple whole things of garlic. So I'm gonna put in there about half a tablespoon. Say about a tablespoon of brown sugar. It's my salsa. I'm gonna raw dog in here. Just putting my hands in there because I'm gonna eat it all. But I'll use. Good idea to use a glove or at least one.
Wash your hands, Kevin.
Careful opening it if the vegetables are still warm and get some pressure build up on that. Waste not. Perfect. Ooh. Moral of this story, kids. Make sure you use a appropriately sized funnel. Or you might be here a while. I screwed this up, so I'm gonna have to fix this a weird way.
How did you screw it up?
I didn't add my lime juice until like now, where I was like, oh, why is it so pasty?
Why is it so tense?
And I'm already filming. I'm like, oh, well, I can't go back. Maybe this is why I get fans. They're like, yeah, Bruce knows how to cook, and then they watch me on YouTube and
They're
like,
like,
oh.
he f***s up just like we do. Yes.
All right, so I was cutting into the chicken, and I saw my brine actually did its job. So it's actually kind of pull apart and moist and all that good stuff. So I'm not actually going to cut into it because it's kind of messing with the integrity of the chicken. And also kind of hard to get sort of the pieces I'm looking for. I did check these off camera, check the temperature to make sure they're right, gave them a good rest. And when you start cooking these chicken breasts, you do cook your first juicy one, you're going to think it's raw. Just take its temperature. Alright, so I wanted to put this on camera so people can see. This is flank steak, so for manageability, we're going to cut down the middle. Oh yeah. Nice and medium rare, but cut it down the middle just to make it for a manageable piece for tacos. So really important is find the grain in which your meat goes for this, because it is a tougher cut. And you need to cut again, so the grain goes this way. I'm going to cut this way to make sure this pieces are nice and tender. And get them nice and thin, probably like a 1/4 inch or less. I did marinate the steak. It's usually for something like carne asada, it's not a bad idea. The marinade I got was just called carne asada marinade. So we'll see. Did read the ingredients though, because I wasn't going to go into that blind. If at least you're going to phone it in like I did today, make sure to read the ingredients so that you know what you're getting into. Went ahead and shredded some cheese for these tacos. If you're going to do that, I would go through the trouble of finding cotija cheese. In my opinion, it is the cheese that belongs on tacos. You say, well, I put cheddar on mine, and that's fine. Alright, so while this is still hot, I'm going to do a chicken taco first. I'm going to take a little bit of that cotija cheese, some cilantro on there, hot sauce right on top. Give her a try here.
Wow, it's good.
So good. I'm trying. I haven't tried the steak yet. How is it?
It's alright. No, I'm just kidding. Bomb. It's okay. In the words of Dora, it's more delicioso.
This one, we're gonna go guac. But we phoned it in. We didn't have to go everything, homemade. We did about half. We just used our skills and put it together and made it happen. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on our second episode of Wizard's Kitchen. And we'll see you next time.